Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 33rd episode of the Gateway Podcast. We are back with another English podcast for you guys. So, for those who don't know, the Gateway Podcast is a one-on-one podcast where we get to learn more about the members of the StarCraft community. I prepared a couple of questions that will give us a little more insight into our guest's journey with StarCraft. But, like all podcasts, we are free to wander wherever the conversation leads us. As always, I'm your host, Necro, and today I have with me one of the first ever streamers that I started watching very regularly in about 2018, being a huge fan of War for the Sector, which we'll probably get into maybe a little bit later. Hailing from Georgia, it is Glazerbeam. How's it going, dude?
Hey, it's going well, Necro. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I tried to make as many Glazerbeam references in that intro as possible. I'm pretty sure it started in 2018 when I started watching your stream, or it was late 2017, maybe 2018. I feel like it was around that
I'm trying to
time.
remember. I guess
It was
started.
yeah, it was during the time where you were really full time for a long while, I think. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and I think I started streaming like towards the beginning of 2018. I want to say.
hmm.
I think that's right.
When did
Yeah.
you when you started streaming? Was it were you already into the full time 9 to 5 from Monday to Friday? Because I mean that's the area I've known you in. When you started streaming, was it directly into that, or how did you decide to start getting that super huge like schedule? You know.
Yeah. So I was okay. So I graduated from college with a degree in political science, and I
Mm,
went to work in politics. I worked at my state's capital and was just kind of realized that that's not what I wanted to do. And I kind of looked around and thought, okay, this is a time in my life when I have the least responsibilities I'll probably ever have. So my I at that time I was living at my parents' house after graduating from college.
mhm,
So I was living at my parents' house and I was like, yeah, I have so little responsibilities right now. I don't have kids. I'm not married yet,
mhm,
and I really want to do something that would be like I wouldn't be able to do it any other time in my life and take a risk and
mhm,
take a chance and go for it. And so that's how I decided to quit my job and start streaming full time.
mm.
And I had streamed 3 times before that. So only three
Oh
times, and they
damn.
were like a couple hours.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I went full on into full
Mm,
time streaming, and I felt like I was in a good position to do that. But I posted on like the first day of my full time stream. I posted on Reddit like, "Hey guys, come by my stream. Like I'm
mm.
streaming full time," and people were like, "Dude, that's a terrible idea. Like, what are you doing?" I
Yeah.
got so
True.
much hate because
True. True.
they're like, "That's so irresponsible.
Mm.
Why are you doing this?" And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, okay, whatever."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends what situation you're in. So you were living at your parents at the time, right? And you had just finished school,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, and I had it was like a year out from having finished school, so I'd been working in politics for about a year, and I just saved up like a lot of money because
Yeah.
I just didn't have like any really anything to pay for at that point in my life because like I said, yeah, I'm living at my parents' house, so I figured it was as good a time as ever to pursue something that I really wanted to do.
Mm. There was a book I read by Maximus Black called The Grind, I think. And basically what he said is that like when he decided to quit to just stream full time and go for it, he said he was basically working as a waiter or something, and he had saved up something around $5,000, which was basically like his expenses for like 5 or 6 months or whatever. And he was like, you need to like have a really big cushion. That was his is like 5 to 6 thousand, and then he
Yeah.
literally just streamed 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that's how he made it. But he was like, dude, do not go into full time streaming unless you've got a huge ass like cushion behind you,
Yeah.
because it
Right,
does
right.
take a while, and it's a big investment of time more than anything else, right?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. And I definitely say like my like I had a cushion, but a lot of the cushion like built into it was that I didn't have living expenses necessary. I mean, I had some, but
mm,
I didn't have to pay rent, didn't have to pay utilities and stuff like that. So
yeah.
that was huge.
Yeah. Actually, wait. I think now that I remember, I think it was during the summer of 2018, because this comes into my second reference, which was I basically got hooked on your stream because of like War for the Sector. So
Yeah.
what that is for those who don't know, basically Glazerbeam would like host these show matches at 1 p.m. like pretty much every day of his stream, and eventually like some of us were like pretty close in level, depending on who we were, but like I would match up against Misery, against I think Passion at the time.
Yeah.
There was obviously White Shadows I would go up against. Who else was there? Sometimes I would get Darrow.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I don't think I think I've won more against Darrow Eve than I've lost somehow. I don't know how I'm pulling those things off, but
You go against John though too.
oh John, yeah.
John was John pretty consistently, right?
Yeah, the thing with John is that like he was really good in all the matchups, but in all of the players that participated in viewer show matches, since you were a Zerg player, it was mostly just like TVZs for us. So when it came down to
Yeah.
like TVTs, it didn't have like the most researched, most like well-defined builds. I feel like TVTs has been one of my strong suits for a while. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so whenever like match up against me, he was like, "Well, I got this one aggressive build, I guess," and then I was like, "Well, I know what to do now." Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and
It was always it was like the proxy Starport Liberator, I think was his that was his
yes,
go-to.
yes. I was gonna mention it, but I was like, he probably doesn't remember, but maybe you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the reasons was like it was such a convenient thing for me. So I assuming what your shtick was that you're doing a 9 to 5, right? Which is
Yeah.
a little bit risky because people are at work 9 to 5. But I guess what
Right.
your logic is that whenever you're not working, well, you have a different 9 to 5 to attend to, right? Kind of a thing. Is kind of the vibe I got from your thing. So basically, whenever I didn't have school, whenever I would have a day off, then all of a sudden it's like this is the 9 to 5 that is happening, to replace it in terms of schedule wise. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing that ended up happening, which was cool, is well, one thing I just recognized when I first started is that Twitch is a global community, right?
Mhm.
So even though people in the like American time zones, North American time zones, they might be like working or have school or something like that.
Mhm.
People in Europe uh, will be off and in the evening. And so what that ended up meaning was that a lot of the community in my stream was there's a lot of Europeans, and then it felt like it was like three groups. It was Europeans
In the
who were
in the
like after
morning,
work. Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
or
Well, for you in the
yeah,
morning, right?
for me in the morning. Right, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. So it's the Europeans like after they got off work. It was students in like the North American time zones that were like that it was in between class, or it was like people who were working, like working age people in North American time zones that just had my stream up on like a second monitor while they worked.
Yeah.
I feel like those were like the three main categories of people that watched the stream.
Mhm. One of the other reasons actually it was so convenient for me is because I had a job, but that job was often like 4 to 8 or 5 to 9. Like they were like
Mm,
4 hour shifts, but they were like not in the morning. And so basically, I could wake up in the morning. Oh hell, it's the Glazer show matches at 1. Got to get there and let's do it. And then it's like
yeah,
2:30, and then it's an hour before I gotta start going to work. And so that was very convenient for me. If I had been like to school, or if my job like made me work during the day or something like that, I probably would have never been there for a long time.
right,
Um,
right, yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense.
To be honest, I was actually a lot of times I was just looking forward to it. Like pretty much every day. Like I was like, oh yeah, I can get like
Oh,
at 1 it's gonna be the show matches. I'm gonna see everybody. It was actually like a really fun thing. And I've mentioned this on I think another podcast. I don't know if it was with White Shadows' podcast, but I was super surprised that you could get that off the ground, because not only do you require like enough of a player base, but also enough of a viewer base, and also to have it done every single day and still have people show up. It's like, damn, that's really hard to get off the ground. Like we have these things in the Quebec community where we used to do some like 2 or 3 like peep modes, or is how we call them. It's basically the
yeah,
show
yeah,
matches, right? We do that
right.
2-3 times a week, and the people coming in were so inconsistent in terms of like who was available and stuff like that. So the fact you could do like 5 days a week at a particular time, I guess it was just because it was in the middle of everything, right? 1
Right.
p.m. is every time everywhere else. I don't know how to say that, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I know what you mean. It's like for people in North America, it's like around lunchtime, kind of, and
yeah,
then for people in Europe, it's like a nice after work, but not quite dinner, depending on where you live
yeah.
in Europe, right? So it was a good time.
Yeah, it was interesting to him. So that was the second reference in the intro. The third reference is hailing from Georgia. Now, somehow I don't know how I got this, but I don't know. I got a glimpse the fact that you were from Georgia, and then there was something in your chat where if someone can answer three quizzes about like three questions about Glazerbeam, they get a free sub, and like that was the question that got me a free sub. Is like what state is Glazerbeam from? I said Georgia, and you were like, ooh, Necro's is a clever boy, and then I got a free sub, and that was my first subscription to the Glazerbeam channel.
That's so funny. I did not realize that. Do
Yeah.
you remember who it was that was doing that? Who like did that
Who did
quiz?
the quiz? No, I don't remember who did the
Could
quiz.
not think
No,
of who that was
if
either.
if if you name me a list of names, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then and then I remember you were surprised, like, wait, this guy's been here for like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I heard it so randomly because I only had seen your stream for a couple hours total, maybe not the same day, but like a couple hours total. And I somehow picked up that you were from Georgia, and I just said Georgia,
Yeah.
and I got it in one shot, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I got a free sub, and I was like, well, damn,
That's amazing.
that is
Well done,
pure luck.
Necro.
Yeah.
Well done, man.
Yeah, that was crazy. All right, that was my last reference. Also, people, I hope you all enjoy this overlay. We're both huge faces, which is amazing.
See, I'm used to that picture because that's what I see floating around my base every
Yeah.
time.
Well,
Like cut off like that too.
yeah, I guess it's its own like style of frame because that picture is like meant for you to it's like meant to have a close up on it, right? But then you have
Right.
my format where it's like you kind of want to see the entire face, have a little bit of the physique as well, so we can kind of. I just want people to be recognizable, right? That's my goal whenever I ask people
Yeah,
for
that makes
for a picture.
sense.
So like just the general frame of body, like the whole face, the whole head, and it's like, well, I can't. The smallest I can crop this is the super close ups. I was like, okay, well, there's only one solution to this. I have to become my worst enemy, and then I became huge.
That's
Jesus.
hilarious.
When was that picture taken actually? Because I feel like you've had that picture forever at this point.
Oh yeah, so that's actually funny. I literally my first day of streaming full time. I got in like I got it to my computer and I was about to load up and I was like, "Oh, I don't have a profile picture. Like I literally don't have any pictures anywhere.
Hmm.
I don't have a Twitter picture or anything like that." And so
Yeah.
I went outside, went right outside my front door
Hmm.
and looked into the sun and snapped a selfie. That's where it came from.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy because it actually looks like a special lens. I think especially when you put it with a circular border, it actually looks like the lens is concave or convex or something. You know, where like
Yeah.
or like the center is like larger and then it gets smaller from the back. It's like towards the back, but it's so not it. It's like a natural effect just from having a circular border. I think. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
pretty funny.
it's like I don't know, lightning in a bottle or something is whatever
Yeah,
expression
right.
that is. Jesus. Um.
It worked out.
Anywho, let's get into a little bit of StarCraft. So, like, when was the first time you've played StarCraft 1 or 2, and like, what was leading up to that? Like, did your parents buy it? Did you see it at a friend's house? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, so I StarCraft 2 was the game I started with.
Hmm.
I actually it was like around my birthday, I guess, in 2012. Yeah, 2012.
Okay.
And I was on IGN.com and they just happened to have they had this thing called the IPL, it was the IGN Pro League.
Yep.
And I knew nothing about StarCraft. I didn't even know what real-time
Mhm.
strategy was or anything like that.
Mhm.
But I used to go on IGN like just religiously, and I guess it's not cool to go on IGN anymore. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I used to go on there like religiously, and so I on the front page they had the IGN Pro League, and I just like tuned in and I was watching. I was like, wow, this is really really cool. This like
Mm.
StarCraft thing, whatever this is. Like I saw these lasers and like big battles and stuff. I'm pretty sure I was watching a PvP and like even thought that was cool.
Yep.
So I was like, yeah, I don't know. This is interesting, and people are playing this professionally, which is something that I hadn't really heard of before. I mean, I knew like Halo people played that professionally and stuff,
Yeah.
but this was a little different. And I had a gift card to Target that one of my friends had given me, and I was just like walking through Target with my mom one day, right after it was like the week after I saw that IGN Pro League, and I was walking by the game section, and Wings of Liberty was on sale. I didn't know at this time, but it was on sale because Heart of the Swarm was just about to come out,
Oh
or
yeah,
like
that makes sense. Yeah.
coming out soon or something. So, so Wings of Liberty was on sale for $30, and I had a $30 gift card, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy this game. So I really just like bought it on a whim, and I ended up playing it a lot. Like I want to say a lot, but I was like embarrassingly bad for how much I played it, and not a lot compared to how much I ended up playing it.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so that year, that was my senior year of high school, and I was like a pretty lonely boy senior year of high school, and so I spent like Friday nights and Saturday nights playing StarCraft on a laptop with a touchpad on my lap on my couch.
With a
Like it was
touchpad? Excuse
yeah.
me? Oh
Yeah.
my god.
No mouse. I would literally like I played StarCraft with like one hand on the little mouse buttons on the touchpad, and the other hand was on the touchpad. My left hand was on the touchpad.
Dude. Were you
I didn't use any hotkeys.
were you even allowed to go to church? Like that's so many sins right there. Like Jesus.
It was
Oh my
terrible, dude.
god. Um
And, yeah, and I thought I was pretty good.
mm,
It
there,
was, it was pretty funny.
man, every time I hear someone saying like they played StarCraft with a touchpad, I remember there was this series on YouTube. I forget what it was called, but it was about StarCraft, and it was just like made up skits and stuff. And one of the dudes was on his MacBook, but he would play StarCraft with like his touchpad, and then his roommate is like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I bought you like $100 mouse, and you're using your touchpad to play StarCraft." It's like goddamn. So that just
That's
reminds me of
funny.
that. Yeah. So basically, you got how long were you watching StarCraft before you actually bought it though?
It was just that one time. It was literally like it was probably 10 minutes on
Oh, okay. You just thought it was cool, and then
that I
you
paid
just
for League.
you just remember what StarCraft was called, and then you happened to
Exactly.
see it, and then
I just happened to see it, and it happened to be on sale for the amount that the gift card was for,
mhm,
and so I could buy it. It was pretty funny, pretty fortuitous. And then I ended up watching, like I ended up watching a lot of Husky,
mhm,
Bronze League Heroes, and
mhm.
whatever Husky was putting out at that time. He was putting out a lot of stuff at that time,
Yeah.
and Bronze League Heroes was pretty hilarious. And but I was Bronze League at the time, and so the real like the irony of me watching Bronze League Heroes is that I would watch it and think, wow, like these guys, like, why is he making fun of these guys? Like these guys are pretty good. This is some good stuff.
That's some good
Like
stuff, yeah.
it's so embarrassing. Yeah.
I guess to be fair, now Bronze League is another level, but like when a game is close, sometimes it's difficult to see the level whenever stuff is
That's
close.
very true.
Sometimes, yeah,
That's a
depending on
great point.
how you observe the game as well. But
Yes. Yes.
but yeah,
If,
so it's
if,
I
if you
could see it
can't
though.
see like resources and all that kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
if you can't see the quantifiable metrics of the game,
Hmm.
and you're just seeing what's happening on screen, it can oftentimes be harder to tell what the level of the play.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
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 Um,
So yeah, that was like the end of Wings of Liberty, right? It was like just on the
yeah,
cusp before Heart of the Swarm.
yeah. Because I remember Husky would get so excited about all the new animations, the death animations in Heart of the Swarm,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh man, Heart of the Swarm looks like it's gonna be pretty good. But then
Dude,
I quit playing
man,
StarCraft.
I remember the unit showcases for Heart of the Swarm. That was so hyped for me. They showed like the new graphic of the Queen, which I preferred, but they reverted it back afterwards. Um,
Oh, I didn't even know there was. Yeah, I
yeah,
was like, I was such a I don't a very very like shallow level fan of StarCraft at that
mm,
point. Like my
yeah,
my entire StarCraft career was like watching Husky, playing with my trackpad. I eventually actually got a mouse, so it wasn't terrible. And I started using hotkeys, and then
damn.
like going to the forum boards and trying to read about like why I was still Bronze League. I was
Mm,
like, I'm so good. Why am I still how am I still Bronze League
mm,
and not Silver League yet? So that was like my entire. I didn't like look up any media or anything like that
mm.
besides
Was that
that
your
stuff.
first general RTS of any kind, actually?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. The only other time I didn't actually play an RTS, but I watched my friend play Command and Conquer one time, and I thought, wow, that looks amazing.
Mm.
But okay, actually, Battalion Wars was, I guess, technically my first RTS. That's so weird. It was like a GameCube original, like it was like only for GameCube game
Mm.
called Battalion Wars. It was like a little RTS where you could swap between like first person and third person.
Mm.
It was kind of cool. But
Yeah.
I guess technically that was my first one. But yeah, no, StarCraft was like really my first
Yeah, so
RTS.
so just the concept of like, hotkeys and control groups and stuff like that was still fairly alien. It was like as soon as you learn a control group or a hotkey, it was like, well, holy shit, I don't have to click stuff. This is
Yes.
next level skills right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But I also thought that like I watched APM demonstration or whatever, like that's always like one of the first things I feel like you look at when you're a young StarCraft player is like, what does high APM look like? There's this one YouTube video that's like APM demonstration, and I was like, wow, it just looks awful to play the game like that. To play the game with hotkeys and control groups, I was like, that just looks terrible. Why would anyone want to play that quickly? You don't get to like enjoy the battles. You don't get to watch your battles and
Yeah.
enjoy it.
The
But
cinematic and just big battles is like what we want to see, which is actually one of the things that you actually have to attach yourself as you get like farther and farther up the ladders, that like whenever you're like already winning at something, you should be thinking about something else as you're already
Right.
winning the fight. It's like it's very satisfying to watch your army beat his, but a lot of the time you have to be thinking is like, are my upgrades going? Can I expand again? Do I need to remake drones? I need to check. Like you're watching the mini map as your army is fighting on screen. Like sometimes that happens, and it's like it sucks, but it's like it's something you gotta do. Yeah.
And like now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that's why it's so fun to watch your games casted, right? And watch your games.
Yeah, you kind of
like
get
show matches.
yeah. I mean, you get the broader picture of it all.
Yeah.
And it's also how you show it too. Like, one of the reasons I actually started observing was because of the show matches. I don't think I would have
Okay.
practiced observing so much if it wasn't for show matches. And
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
and do you know why?
Yeah, why?
Because I thought your observing sucked, dude. Like,
Yeah, no, okay, it's really funny. I was looking back at our message
Basically.
history. The very first message you ever sent to me was about
Yeah.
how bad my
yeah. Dude, sometimes I would play so good and I would do things that were so fucking amazing. And I was like, dude, I've never played like this in my life. And turns out you were like looking at the dude's natural while talking to Brood Frog about like what you ate for dinner. And I'm just like, dude, are you fucking joking? All right.
Oh man.
All right. So then I started to get a crack at the observing thing, and I really got into it. And I was like, you know what? A big part of enjoying the game is just showing it as if it was like a movie, always showing action, the things that are important.
Yeah.
Even today, I have so much criticism for casters and their observing, to be honest. Like, I'm pretty sure I sent a full essay. Do you know Crichton Olsen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent this guy a little essay on how to improve his observing, because he actually has the worst observing of any caster I've ever seen, but he's one of the best casters, which is so frustrating. But yeah, observing is a lot of, actually, I feel like the more we go deeper into the history of StarCraft, the less we see StarCraft as a visual game, and we're just analyzing everything. So it doesn't matter that we're triple zoomed out and talking about this one thing while all the HP bars are on, obviously. And like, dude, just show it nicely. I don't know. We're so into like analyzing everything that we don't see the visual appeal of StarCraft anymore. So we don't actually care how the observing looks like. We just care about like observing stuff. Like, the camera can be super shaky. You can have all the life bars on. We don't see any of the Zerglings because they're all flooded in green bars, and it's like, I don't know, dude.
You like almost don't see the life. Like I don't even notice life bars.
You don't notice the life button anymore because you play it a lot. But for people who watch, they do. And that's, you got to keep that in mind. I'm actually working on a couple of videos, and there's a couple of I was going through footage, and there's some footage of like 2011, 2012, or like 2010, and they straight up just did not have life bars. You had no idea when the unit was gonna die. So that was a little bit awful. I'm not for that.
Watching Avalow's stream. Did you ever watch Avalow's stream?
Yeah, he goes on. Wait. That's true.
He never had life bars.
True. At first I thought it was damage. I actually play with damaged on now.
Okay.
But damage only on. I used to play with everything on, but now I only put damage on. Sorry. Yeah, damage only on. But
yeah,
I
feel like a lot of streamers do that because it's like more visually appealing.
It's visually appealing, and to be honest, if something is full, it should that should not be it's not relevant information to you, actually.
That's true. That's actually a good point. I've never thought about that.
Yeah, it's weird. Like you get used to it, but like if something is full health, that is 100% unnecessary information.
The only you only need to know when something is different than the expected.
Then when something is by default. Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly.
The only thing I would not agree with is when the energy is full, it also disappears. That I'm not okay with, because
full. Are you serious?
Yeah, when you're at full energy, the energy bar actually disappears. That I'm not okay with, because that's actually really useful information.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah, especially like if you have high Templar or some shit like that, and you're trying to feedback, and you're like, "Whoa, I don't see an energy bar. It must be emptied or something." I don't know.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's kind of
Have you
messy.
ever thought about making a like a series about like specifically like casting tips, like a little like short videos about like different casting tips? That could be kind of cool.
There's so many things about casting. Like I've already taken so many notes on just how to speak. Obviously, like I'm not an
I
expert
mean,
on
right,
myself, but
observing. I
oh,
said casting,
observing.
but
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
observing.
observing too. It's like technically, if you just break down, if you break down an Artosis and Tasteless cast, you can actually get a lot of information because those two are actually players. That sorry, they're actually people that don't play StarCraft 2 that much, if almost at all, but yet they can talk in a way that is very diverse, that is very coherent, and that is very always fresh to listen to. So imagine if
Yeah,
you had StarCraft knowledge on top of that. I think those two are a very good pair to study. Especially going off each other. And it's like when someone speaks, if you just pay close attention on who's in charge of what in terms of explanation, who's in charge of like talking about what's going on the map, who talks during the fight, how do they kind of split off their talking time. That's like that's the whole other thing too. Um,
yeah, 100%.
yeah,
Especially when you're a casting duo like they are.
yeah.
Um,
Observing. No, I could make maybe one video. That's actually not a bad idea, but at the same time, I don't. I feel like there's some objective truths to it, but I'm afraid of just stepping into the subjective things where
yeah,
it's not good. What I guess for real though, the one tip, the one thing that frustrates me a lot is people zooming out. Because what you don't realize, and I've made this mistake too, actually, we don't realize that your StarCraft is full screen on your computer. So when you zoom out, it looks fine to you, but like you got to remember that sometimes people are on their phones, sometimes people, I mean, most of the time they're just on a Chrome tab and they have chat open, which means the player is actually a lot smaller. So when you zoom out, you don't see shit. Like you don't zoom out unless
oh
it's
yeah,
absolutely necessary. Like don't forget, people have chats. The screen is way smaller. People don't see the huge monitor with StarCraft in front of you. So please
right.
be very frugal with your zooming out unless it's absolutely
Interesting.
necessary.
Yeah.
I caught myself doing that a lot when I was at a. I actually observed the WESG Grand Finals of Neeb versus Scarlet. I was like live in a studio, and then when I watched back, I realized, holy shit! Wait, I'm watching this with the chat on, and I just realized how small the game looks in comparison to my huge screen that I had in front of me. I didn't think zooming out was a big deal, but I was looking back at the VOD, and there was this huge carrier broodlord fight, and I zoomed out to see everything, but then it's like, fuck, I can't see anything on screen. What have I done? So
Oh,
please,
that's really
so
interesting.
please stop zooming out, okay? Plus, on top of
Yeah.
that, people are very used to seeing the default view. Back in even Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm, there was no zoom outs actually. Actually, wait, in Heart of the Swarm was there zoom outs? I'm not sure, but anyway, people have been conditioned to having no zoom outs for literally 2 expansions or like 6 years or 5 years. Sorry, so don't
Yeah.
zoom out. Yeah, I'm talking way too much in this podcast, dude. Jeez, there's so many subjects. Yeah. So
Very.
actually, wait, why did you quit at Heart of the Swarm?
Yeah. So I quit like I guess December of 2012. I started in like September of 2012 and quit in like December.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I don't know, I quit because I just I don't know. I moved on. Maybe it was cuz I ended up getting a girlfriend second semester of
Hmm.
of senior year of high school. I feel like that's probably more of it. Like I had
Yeah.
something else that filled my time rather than StarCraft.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's like TV series. Like sometimes there's just these TV series that we just don't finish for a reason or another, and all we can do is chop it up to, well, I just stopped thinking about it. Just other things came in, and like,
yeah,
so I
exactly.
just stopped. I guess for you it was basically just senior year and then a girlfriend as well.
Yeah, yeah. Second semester senior year, I guess there's just more going on and stuff, but yeah,
Yeah.
I stopped like completely. Like I guess I played a couple games every year, and you can see that if you go to my like tab or my history,
Mm-hmm.
whatever career summary.
Mm-hmm.
Um until I got back into it in 2015, and that's when I really got into it. Really
2015.
got it.
Yeah, I mean that was the release of Legacy of the Void. So.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's actually not why I got into it. I got back into it in 2015 because I had a roommate um who was he was a semi-professional Halo 3 player.
Oh, okay.
And so this is actually, I think, kind of important for why I like StarCraft and why I really got into StarCraft. Because like I got into it senior year of high school or whatever, but I really got into it uh, in college in 2015. So I had this roommate freshman year of college. He was not my roommate, but he was a friend of mine, and I was out to dinner with him and some other friends, and we were all talking about Halo 3 and how much we love Halo 3. And I was saying that I was pretty good at it, and he was saying that he was pretty good at it. And so I was like, man, we gotta play against each other, you know. And so I'm thinking, like, I thought I was good at Halo 3 in high school when I played. I played a lot of Halo 3,
Yep.
and I thought I was good at it. And so we go back to his dorm, and he drops an O bomb on me, 25-0 on Guardian VR starts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually don't think I ever knew what it meant to be good at a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it was really shocking for me because I really thought I was good at Halo. And so I ended up living with him sophomore through, or no, junior through senior year of college. And so he kind of like he would get really into games, and he was the kind of guy that, like, he only ever played a game on the hardest difficulty, right?
Yeah.
And he was really like passionate about being very good. And so what happened was we were sitting around one day. We had just like been playing a lot of Halo because we were like really trying to get into it before Halo 5 came out. And so we're sitting around playing, and then we just got bored, and we were like, yeah, what should we do? And I was like, have you ever played StarCraft? And he was like, yeah, I actually did play the original back in the day. I was like, let's play StarCraft. So that was the fateful day. We both downloaded it, and his competitive nature drove me to be very competitive. And it was very different. It was a shift from like playing a game just to play a game, and playing a game to like be good at it and actually practice and look up videos of how to be better at it. And it was like I was really driven to succeed and to beat him. That was my main
Oh,
goal.
okay. So you guys both played StarCraft at that point, right?
We both did.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
almost my whole house ended up getting StarCraft and playing StarCraft, which
Oh,
was super fun.
damn. I mean, that's one of the easiest driving forces when you have a friend or like kind of a rival thing, and it's whoever gets ahead of the other one first,
Right.
in kind of a way. It happened with me.
Yeah.
Something very similar happened to me in like high school. Not high school. It was like middle school technically. I'm work with Canadians, so I have no idea what the threshold for middle school and high school is, but whatever. And
Right.
we would actually just try and one up each other's times on like Mario Kart Double Dash.
Yes. Yeah.
I would do that. He would be like, "Dude, I got something like 1 minute 10 on Baby Park." It's like, "Oh, dude,
Yeah.
I got 9.58. Beat that one." And then it's like, so having someone just next to you, just like always pushing you, and then you pushing the other person, I can totally get how that makes you just so much better so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. 1 minute 10. That's like actually like you remember your baby park times, Necro. I like that.
Yeah,
That's
no, yeah,
fun.
I do. World record is minute 3. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But
Yeah.
it was a very simple track. Let's be real though.
It is, but
But
it's like it's really technical when you start getting into like A-teching and stuff like
yeah,
that.
because you have to drift boost, but you have to still go in a straight line.
Right.
Otherwise, you're losing time. And you have to make
Exactly.
all those turns as sharp as possible without bumping the wall. Yeah, I got
Yes.
a minute. I'm pretty sure I got a minute 10. The other guy got a minute 11 or 12. So he never beat me on that one. And then world record was a minute 3. And
Nice.
then
I think
I think there was another one. I think we tried to beat each other on Yoshi's Island, but that's pretty much it. Yeah.
oh, Yoshi's Island. That's a oh gosh. Yeah,
Mm.
love Double Dash. Amazing game.
Oh yeah, for sure. Speaking of that, actually, what other games did you actually grow up with? I'm assuming you played other games before StarCraft 2.
Yeah. So I I got my first gaming console in 4th grade. That was a GameCube. So I got that in 2004. And I on that day I got Mario Kart. Mario Kart came with it. I got Sonic Heroes, which is pretty fun, and I got the Lord of the Rings Two Towers game, which I think like those games are like the best game film adapted to games that have come out maybe ever.
Wait, just
They're pretty.
it was just Lord of the Rings, or it was
It was Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, so
okay,
specifically the Two Towers game.
okay.
So like specifically like film adapted to video game,
Mhm.
those are like really really good.
I, f-
Um,
I was gonna say like real quick. I feel like the best movie to video game adaptations is actually all the Lego games because I've played Lord of the Rings Legos and like the Star Wars Legos, and I feel like those are really really fun and really good. But I'm not
yeah,
sure if
those
I've
are
played the Two Towers, just straight up version, not Lego.
yeah.
As far
No,
as that is.
that's fair. The Lego games are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's how I was kind of introduced to it. Like my parents weren't super into video games, and
Mhm.
originally my limit was like 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. So I got like an hour and a half of video.
What? I was like, okay, 30 minutes a day is already short. 3 times a week?
Yeah.
Holy
It
shit.
was really,
Yeah.
and it was like one of those rules that like my parents never really enforced that strongly. But like I definitely would not never play more than an hour.
Mm.
And it was like, and I didn't play too often. My interest in video games was it like waxed and waned based on if I just got a new game, right?
Mhm.
So that was the best thing was going to GameStop, buying a used game, and while my mom is doing all the rest of her shopping in the mall, I would just like pour over the instruction booklet and the inside. I
Mm.
loved that feeling. You just don't get that anymore with all the
Yeah, no, yeah.
digital sales.
You're trying to like figure out everything you can get in the game. It's like you get a game where there's like different guns or something, and then you read about all the guns before you actually play the game, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna get this later. This sounds awesome.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It was so fun.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so was into that, and then got a 360 eventually, and got really into Halo 3. And like Halo 3 was like my main game for a very long time. And but I would say like since then, I don't, and since streaming, my I've really broadened my gaming horizons with a bunch of different types of games. Like you might know this from watching my stream. Like I love like walking simulators, like story based walking simulators,
Hmm.
um, where you're just like, it's like very narrative driven. I love that kind of thing. And
Hmm.
also like Hollow Knight, I played on stream. It's like my favorite game of all time now. Shout out to LaFoke for buying that for me.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I just I don't know. I've really broadened my horizons past like Mario Kart and Halo. But Legend of Zelda. Okay, so that gets into something else. So Legend of Zelda
Hmm.
was like my favorite series for a long time. I loved the Twilight Princess. Loved it, loved it, loved it.
Yeah.
So when I first got my 360, and I was going to make like my gamer tag, I tried to be Link, and Link was taken. And so then I was like, all right, I'm gonna be kind of edgy, and I'm gonna be Ganon instead, but I misspelled Ganon, so I spelled Ganon with two N's in the middle,
Yeah.
and that ended up working out. So I was Ganon on that was my gamer tag,
Hmm.
and that's like really, it was like pretty embarrassing because it was misspelled Ganon, and ended up with like a bunch of numbers at the end because like I don't know, you know how
Yeah. Yeah.
names are
You
and
just
stuff.
need numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So then when I ended up getting StarCraft senior year of high school, and I was making my BattleNet account and making my battle tag, I was like, I have to come up with something new. I have to. I
Hmm.
remember sitting on my couch, like racking my brain over what I was gonna make
Oh, wait, hold on.
my account name, and I was like, okay, Glaze. Like my last name is Glaze, like Glazerbeam, Glazerbeam.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I'm assuming it's
yeah. And
like
then I was like,
what
okay,
what word can come from glaze was like glazer. Wait,
yeah,
is that a laser like a laser beam? And then it's like glazer
yeah,
beam.
exactly.
Oh fuck.
That's exactly right.
Oh my
And
god.
and so that's where Glazerbeam came from. And
Mhm.
I have not ever I've only ever had a single StarCraft account, a single StarCraft name.
Hmm.
My battle tag and my username are the same. And I've never had a Smurf, never had anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's always been Glazerbeam from the very beginning. And they like, yeah. So the most complete history of my StarCraft experience can be found in my career summary on my on the Glazerbeam
Pretty much.
tag in game. Yeah.
So if you weren't glazer beam, you would just be Ganon, basically.
Yeah, it's misspelled.
Yeah. It's spelled
Yeah,
too.
in fact, Ganon 714. 714, like all the
714.
cool kids. Yeah.
What's 714? What does that mean?
I just liked the number 7, and then 7 times 2 is 14. So
Oh,
7 1.
okay. I thought it was just
Yeah.
because it's all like I'm looking at my numpad on my like keyboard right now, and it's all in the same row or same column. So it's like, yeah,
Oh,
that works.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
I never noticed that.
yeah. So
Inter-
any other number would be like 825 or 936.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Huh.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right. Anyway, but so yeah, Twilight Princess was kind of interesting for me because it's simultaneously, well, to me, it's like it's weird because in hindsight, it's like the best and the worst Zelda game at the same time. It's like the worst in terms of like there's a lot of stuff that feels a little bit empty just because it's big, but at the same time, it feels
Okay.
like the most epic of the Zelda games for some reason. Because
Yeah.
I feel like it bar none has the best boss battles of all Zeldas combined. You
I
just
completely
yeah, it just feels so epic that I'm not sure where to place it and like if I enjoyed it or not. A lot of people don't like the wolf part, but everything outside of the wolf is so good. But then the NPCs are kind of bland, but at the same time the story's really good. But at the same
Yeah.
time the dungeons are simple, but at the same time their artwork is amazing and it's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this game. Yeah, it's an interesting game. I actually did like that game. When did you actually get into computers though? Because you seem to be very much a console guy.
Um, yeah, I got into computers. It was actually only a little bit before. Well, no. So I guess I got into computers like in when I first got StarCraft. That was when that was like my first computer gaming.
Hmm.
Real computer gaming. I mean, before that, right? I played Freddy Fish and Pajama Sam and all that when I was little.
Hmm.
Like, who didn't? Um, that stuff was amazing. And I would go on like addictinggames.com and do all that kind of stuff. That doesn't really count though. So StarCraft was like my first foray into computer gaming, and then I just like did Diablo and other games like that. And once I started buying games on, or started playing games on my laptop, I got into Steam, and then I would just buy a bunch of Steam sale games. And then I realized that my integrated i5 laptop with like 4 gigabytes of RAM couldn't actually play any of the games
Yeah.
that I had on Steam. So what I ended up having was this massive Steam library of games that I wanted to play, and I couldn't play them on my current computer.
Hmm.
And I also didn't really have the money to buy a computer. So I guess it was like 4 or 5 months before I started streaming full time. I bought my current gaming computer, and it was something that I always wanted to buy. Like, since I started playing games on computer, since I started playing StarCraft on the computer, I really wanted a gaming computer, and yeah, ended up doing that. I'm still like a huge fan of sitting on my couch with a controller. I love my Switch, and
Hmm.
like for the most part, I prefer the console experience to the computer gaming experience. Actually,
Yeah, I feel like with there, it's just so different because like the everything gaming wise, it's always like you at your computer with your screen, but with the everything that's console, it kind of comes with the atmosphere of on a huge TV, everybody else can be watching. You can like have popcorn at the same time. You can have multiple controllers at the same time. Like nobody's
yeah,
playing on the same PC with multiple keyboards, multiple mice. It's not how PC game works, right? You just
right.
play it online, but having everyone play together on the same screen it's like a different kind of gaming experience altogether. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. And I think that's what makes it so great is
Hmm.
experiencing it with others.
Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like computers have ruined us so much because all the like the best graphics and engines and just the best games
Yeah.
have been on computer. The keyboard is an unrivaled controller along with the mouse, so it's very difficult to like once you go PC, it's very hard to go back to a controller with like limited buttons and like something that you can't type with. It's like
Yeah,
and
I
just
don't
having
know.
that shared screen experience on the couch. It's like I'm not used to being on a couch. I want to be on my chair. It's like it's so
Really?
different. No, but I mean like this is it's like you want to be close to your screen. You don't want to be like fucking like 2 meters away with a huge screen and playing. Well, I mean, depending on the games you like to play, right? It's just whole
Yeah,
different types
yeah.
of games too, as well.
I mean, I
Um,
wouldn't want to play StarCraft on my TV, right? But
no,
like,
yeah, exactly.
I love kicking back on the couch with my whatever
Oh yeah,
55 TV playing
Yeah. What's
with a
it?
control.
Well, that's why it's so weird because I've been trying to play like a lot more Smash Brothers, which I love doing with some of my friends. We used to go at this bar before COVID, and we would just play Smash Brothers there. And then I would
Yeah.
invite him, and then we would just play Smash Brothers on my couch. But now when I want to play Smash Brothers, I'm on my chair. I have a plugged-in controller to my like fucking computer screen. And it's not the same at all. I just don't get that kind of exciting, relaxing feel anymore, unless it's actually on a console. So they're just such different games, different
Yeah.
settings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Totally.
yeah.
Totally.
Have you ever went to a like a StarCraft event? Was there anything in like the American things country thing that that you've
Yeah.
went to? I don't know if there's has ever been any events like near you.
That's so sad. I haven't. Which is like, yeah. So I've never been to a live StarCraft event, but I did go to DreamHack Atlanta 2 years ago, and that I
Oh.
streamed from the stream studio. There was no StarCraft event happening, which was pretty
Mm,
sad. Um, but I could like just tell from being there and being around other communities,
yep.
gaming communities, that like this would be so incredible
Yeah.
to be here during a StarCraft
Oh yeah.
event.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. 100%.
Um,
Yeah, you just got the convention feel, and then you just like inserted StarCraft in your mind, and you'd be like, "This would actually have been just insane."
yeah, yeah.
Which it kind of is because you're there's always so we've been lucky enough that we've had DreamHack with StarCraft like almost 4 years in a row. For reasons I'm not gonna repeat because I've said it in like multiple podcasts, but it comes down to like our Olympic Stadium, how cheap they rent it. So
Oh,
DreamHack is like, oh, dude, we get a fucking Olympic Stadium, let's go. So they just come back here every year, and basically how it works, there's always like a back. There's like a main stage, and behind the main stage, that's where all the group stages are happening, and there's like tons of PCs, and all the pros are there, and everyone's
yeah.
talking with everyone, and it's just so
Wow.
awesome. Yeah. So you're just seeing every single pro, and you're like, holy shit, yo, that's Rainer, that's Cyril, hello, and then
Insane.
yeah.
Gosh, that
That's
would be
pretty much the
amazing.
same, yeah. Yeah, so that's unfortunate. But at least you
Yeah, it
actually
really
yeah,
is.
at least you actually went to a convention though. Actually, I think that's more or less like the as long as you got the feel, you can kind of imagine it. If you have never even went to a dream hack, it's like very hard to imagine. It's an experience in its
Right.
own, so
Yeah, it
at
was
least that's
definitely
cool.
different from what I thought it was based on just watching. And
Oh yeah. Yeah.
but it was yeah, it was really fun. It was great. But I definitely want to go to a live event. I would really love to go to. There's like a big regret and then like a big dream of mine. Regret is not going to BlizzCon to see Cyril win. I think that would have been just nuts. Like sometimes I watch the videos of when Cyril won from the audience,
Yep.
and I get like extreme nerd chills because that room was packed to the brim. I remember
Mm.
Lamb and Rice saying that like they tried to go in through the front door and security was like, "No, you can't. We're at maximum capacity." So he and a friend kind of like snuck in on the side, and it
Mm.
was just like standing room only, packed in like sardines,
Mm.
and the room just exploded when Sarah
Right.
won. That would have been incredible
I could
to be there
I
to
couldn't
watch.
even like imagine. Also, like just general BlizzCon, isn't each dollar like insanely expensive, and it's like booked like so many months in advance. So it's
Yeah,
probably
it's
very hard to get into in general. It's not
I
just
I
a
think the first day that the tickets go on sale,
they sell out.
they
Yeah,
sell out like
yeah,
very quickly. But then a dream of mine is to see GSL live because GSL for me is just like
true.
it's just like the pinnacle of StarCraft.
Have you ever yeah? Do you ever? I don't know why I do this sometimes, but literally sometimes I kill myself to stay up to watch GSL, or these days I actually start doing the opposite. Is that I wake up very early and go to bed
Oh
very
wow!
early as well. But that's doable because of COVID, and I don't have any schedules, so I can just
Yeah,
manipulate it however I want. Um, but yeah, yeah, GSL would
yeah.
actually be
When
so amazing, especially if they let people back in the studio again. Like, yeah,
right? Yes. Oh my gosh.
and just
Um,
Korea in
and when they
general
start
is
playing
amazing.
at the new
So,
studio, which I feel like they're eventually going to do that once people can start coming.
mhm.
I think they're going to start playing at the new studio, which is so sick.
Wait, they have a new studio?
Yeah, yeah. Freaka has a new studio, and it's
Oh,
like massive and awesome. They played season two's finals. season 2, season 3. I'm sorry, they played season 1 2020 finals in the new studio. You should check that out if
Yeah,
you're interested in
yeah, I'll check
something
that
like
out. Yeah, yeah.
that.
Probably missed it.
It's super sick, but yeah, I think that would be amazing. As far as killing myself to stay up, so for me, for like Friday nights is when it starts at midnight, and Wednesday mornings is when it
Mm.
starts at like 5 a.m. or something.
Yep.
And I have never gotten up for the Wednesday morning ones, but I
Yeah.
used to I used to stay up like till like 3 a.m. watching the Friday night ones,
Yep.
and I would like in between their games, I would play StarCraft, and then when it would come back,
Oh
I'd
yeah.
turn back to it. And but now I don't. I try. It's so ridiculous. Like I like kill myself to like stay up until midnight,
Mm.
and then I watch until like 12:30, which like 12:30 is when they finally start the first game, and
Yeah.
then I end
True.
up falling asleep because I can't stay up any longer,
Yeah.
and then I just watch the rest of it Saturday morning.
Yeah, and
So
then
it's kind of
there's just a lot of fluff, and even if it starts at midnight, which is like the earliest, right? It's still gonna finish at like 3 a.m. and it's like, well, do I want to stay until 3 a.m.? It's like,
yeah,
it's always rough.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, fucking Korea shit. But I've had actually someone on the podcast here. He lives in my city now, but he actually went to live in Korea for like a year. And he was just like, that's the best place ever. I don't know. You know, Special and Scarlet. Special and Scarlet actually wish they just could stay in Korea, but I think they have visa things that are ending.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
so they have to go back. I think Australia as well, and no regret. But they were all like, dude, if I could just stay in Korea, I would just much rather stay in Korea. Um,
That's
yeah. So, although there's
it's
a
hard
yeah,
Korean though. Like I don't know.
it's pretty hard too. And it depends also like if you're a very anxious person or something like that. Because I follow this other streamer called LS, and he sometimes wishes he probably thinks eventually he would get out of Korea because he's from I think it's a city called Warwick or whatever, in the United States, and he moved to Korea I think like 8 years ago or something like that. And he's like,
Okay.
I live in Korea. It's really awesome, but at the same time, it's like everything is really fast, is what he says.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if you're like an anxious person or you're yeah, it might not be the best place for you. But for some
Yeah.
people, it's like a new beginning. Everything is always exciting. Like
Right.
everything is all the food is delicious. Everyone's super nice. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. It'd be like it's like a New York kind of equivalent,
Oh
except they
yeah,
make
100%.
New York
Yeah,
not as nice.
that's a perfect equivalent actually.
I am not. I could never live in New York. I visited a few times, and I'm like pretty ready to get out whenever it's whenever my trip is over.
Mm,
But I really want to visit Korea at
yeah.
some point.
Apparently, Seoul is like at least 5 times the size of New York. It's just huge. It's one of the biggest cities ever.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Um, do you have any because we've been talking about events and stuff like that. Do you have any particular like StarCraft memories, or has like favorite StarCraft memories, or has everything very been solo from your side, like with streaming
Well,
and video games and stuff?
I would definitely okay. I definitely do have some favorite memories. Some of them are more like ideas and not like specific instances.
Mm-hmm.
But like War for the Sector was so fun, and the amount of
Mm,
work that Veiled Fury put into it to make like the
mm-hmm.
story he did, um, like the news reports
Oh yeah,
and
that was
map.
amazing, dude.
Yeah, and they did like the donations for like you got to name your map or your planet
Mm.
on the map. Like it was just amazing. That
It was
is
so engaging, dude. It was so
yeah,
good.
absolutely. And it was just nuts. Like every day the stream when we were doing War for the Sector, like we would get like it was like right at the time that War for the Sector started, we'd get up to like 60 to 70 viewers. And then like right afterward it would drop down and right before it was lower. But like people showed up for War for the
Oh
Sector,
yeah,
and
dude.
that was so fun. And it was also such a great break for me if I was really tilted
Oh
on the
yeah,
ladder.
100%. Yeah.
So that's one. That was amazing. The other would be streaming from DreamHack, from the Stream Studio. That
Mm.
was that was amazing. The support of people coming out was really cool, and there was just so much energy. Everyone was like so hyped. I don't know. It was just a cool environment. I think I lost every single game that day, every single game I played,
Oh,
but
doesn't matter.
it was amazing. It didn't matter because I was just having a blast.
Yeah. You had the lights
Um,
on you. You were in the streaming section. You were a streamer in this
oh,
convention. Oh my
streamer.
god.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Definitely my like top StarCraft memories, I
Yeah.
would say. Um, but War for the Sector was something really, I don't know, it was really special because I feel like a lot of the community put a lot into it as well.
Hmm.
And
I mean, you were the host. Like, it couldn't have happened then. But we have such amazing like contributors. Like, as I say, what was it called? Something Veil.
Veiled-
Veil
yeah, Veiled
Fury.
Fury.
Yeah, Veil Fury. Like, I still remember his like flare text or his synopsis text, and it was like,
Yeah.
they've taken over the front lines of Mount Pikachu, and it's like, oh my god, we gotta push back, dude. There's only 2 Process left. We gotta fight back, guys. It's like 2 Process planets left. We're gonna get fucked. And then obviously since it's your stream and you play Zerg, there's a lot of Zerg players, so Zerg always won those fucking War for the Sectors.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think okay, hold on. Let me see. I want to say we had one where someone else
Oh yeah,
won.
but like
Maybe.
most of them were Zerg. But like sometimes Terran would win. I don't think Protoss ever won a War for the Sector.
Yeah.
I don't think
I believe you are correct.
Sebesdes cannot carry that all the way. I don't
Oh,
think.
hey, Protoss did win.
Protoss did win? What?
2019, March of 2019. Protoss
Wait,
won War for the
wait, but
Sector.
there's only White Shadows and Sebesdes.
And
No?
Protoss won. Wait,
And they
Protoss
still
won
won?
February as well.
What?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm very sorry. That was completely wrong. Protoss like lost, like they got eliminated,
Hmm.
completely eliminated, and they got complete. Oh, I'm that. What I'm saying is the opposite. Protoss got completely eliminated, both of those seasons to the point
Okay.
where like they weren't even playing anymore. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah.
Um,
It's all good.
yeah, we only had a Terran and Zerg victories. We
Yeah.
had one Terran and like 4 Zerg victories, and in 2 of them, Protoss was not even in at the end of the season. That's so
Hmm.
sad. Poor
Man.
Protoss.
Honestly, dude, what's crazy is that like no other streamer in the entire community of StarCraft has ever done anything like War for the Sector before. It's actually so cool. Like we've seen what people do is that they just cast games, or sometimes they do like show matches, but like nobody has ever done anything like War for the Sector, which is it's so hype. It was such a good
That was
time.
special.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it was super awesome.
That's fair.
Um, do you actually still play StarCraft until the time, or how do you see StarCraft? Is it like when you see an event that motivate you? Because obviously, whenever we watch TSL, that really makes us want to play. It's like, I can do that. Let's fucking go on the ladder right now. Or how do you get your motivation for StarCraft? Was it just by yourself? Did you used to watch more events, and how does that work, kind of?
Yeah, for me, like it's all about just the like one-on-one, like wanting just to be good. That's what it's all about, which is not good all the time because it can mean sometimes my relationship with StarCraft is like it's not the most healthy, I guess. Like I don't necessarily like stop playing a session happy at all,
Hmm.
which is like kind of frustrating. But I I was playing very consistently even after stopping streaming. I was playing very consistently up until about like 2 months ago.
Hmm.
Uh, but 2 months ago, um, I started on like some new things at work, and so
Hmm.
that's been kind of um, taking up more of my time. And so I haven't been playing very much. I yeah have not been playing much at all. And when I do play now, I really just like I mainly like to do customs with like people. I've been doing so many customs with Janton.
Oh yeah, I've actually seen those. Yeah, Janton is a monster, by the way. At this game,
Yeah, he really is.
he's actually so good. Like it makes
He's
no
getting so
sense.
good.
Because
It
I feel like when we were doing War for the Sector, he was like 12 years old and he was like kind of hitting his diamond stride for once. And then now he's like, for some reason, he skipped to like 22 and he's like Grandmaster. And it's like, what? I don't know.
right. Yeah, he's so good, and it's. I feel like I play my best ZVZ when I play against Jan because he makes me work
Oh, yeah.
so hard. My multitasking is like pushed to the absolute limit, and that's so fun. Um, and it's so much more fun to play and not have like the pressure of performing in MMR and all that kind of stuff. I just don't care as much about MMR and stuff like that anymore. So
Hmm.
um, I do recently, to be completely honest, in like the last month, I've not played very much, but um, I still,
I mean,
you know,
it's a very on and off game. Like, it's very
yeah,
rare that people have literally played nonstop or like very regularly for the 10
right.
past years that it's been released. There's always been on and off periods for a variety of reasons.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
yeah.
But I would like, the combination of streaming and then just like being really into it before that. There was like solid like 4 years that I was playing, um, or maybe I'd say 3 years where I was playing very consistently.
Mhm.
Um, my skills don't show it, but
I think you do. I think you're pretty consistent on that like 4.8 to 5K. Actually, no,
yeah,
sorry, 4.8 to 4.999 roughly.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. Never, yeah, yeah.
Never 5. Never 5K. It's
Listen.
not possible. Dude, I still remember when you got 4,999 MMR. I'll never forget that moment. Ever.
Dude, I was so excited. I was like, I think I did it. I think I did it, guys. I think
Yeah.
we're 5K. Oh, so disappointed.
4.999.
But it's okay
Amazing.
because that was the same game that I got Master One for the first time.
Mhm.
So it was like it took the edge off, right? It took the edge off the not getting 5K.
Yeah.
But
Actually, what do you because you said you kind of finished school, science, political science, sorry, and then you stopped doing the political stuff. Like, did you go back to school or like, what are you working in now, actually?
okay, so no, so right after that I just did, I streamed, and then when I stopped streaming, I went to a software engineering boot camp, and that was last fall into winter, and
Yeah,
then
that makes
early.
sense timing wise, right? Because I think that's also the time where you stop being full time
Yep,
on Twitch. Yeah.
exactly. I streamed right up until right up to the Friday before the Monday that I started my software engineering boot camp. So
Mhm.
I did that, and then I got hired at a like a consulting group as a software engineer, and I am now working. Yeah, I'm working as a software engineer at a job site. So,
Oh,
or not technically physically at a job site, online for a company. That's what I should say.
yes, makes sense. Yeah, everything is online and not online at the same time.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Man, I got a class Monday. No, not Monday. Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. It's like, what? Why?
Is it in person or is it remote?
No, it's remote. But that's the thing. It's like, if
Okay.
it's remote, why do I have to get up at 8? It's like,
Hey,
it's
well,
like,
at least you can like
Jesus.
roll out of bed at like 7:50, right?
Yeah, I can. And you know what I'm gonna do too? And they can't catch me, but I'll record the whole class on OBS and rewatch it if I need to.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a great
they have
idea.
no idea.
Yeah,
They'll have no
that's smart.
idea. But yeah, I guess Beat's going to doing a 40-minute commute to go to school. This works.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh my, yes. Definitely. So.
Yeah. Um, is there anything? I don't know if you think about the future much, but
Yeah.
what would you like to see in with StarCraft and RTS? Is it like a genre that you kind of want to see keep going, or like is there a different kind of mixed RTS genre you want to see, or like have you given any thought to the future of StarCraft and RTS?
Yeah, so I think I'm a little weird. Like I don't really love the RTS genre. I have never completed the campaigns for StarCraft. I've tried to a few times,
Mm.
but I just don't enjoy I don't enjoy RTS for some reason. I just love 1v1 competition.
Mm.
I grew up my whole life playing tennis, and it was 1v1
Yeah.
competition, right?
Yeah.
So
There's only a very few sports that happens, and actually there was another guy on the podcast. I think number 15, Donley. He's actually a huge tennis player, and he loves the
okay,
1v1 aspect as well from like both those games. Yeah, 100%.
yeah, yeah. So and I don't even like really love team games in StarCraft either. I'm like, oh, this is fine. Um, So as far as RTS in the future, I don't know. I like it would be cool if there's some new and like inventive RTSs to come out. But for StarCraft, I go back and forth. between like
Mm.
really wanting like a StarCraft 3 or something, and but then also being like, oh, but why do we need that? Like StarCraft as a service is fine, right? With just like these updates that are happening. But when the meta gets really stale and like we're in a place where I think Protoss is just kind of in a like busted state,
Mm.
I think it would be amazing to have a StarCraft 3. If we could potentially get a fourth race, I think that would be really cool. But like it's just something
Mm.
that completely like messes things up. Like I want to see meta shift. I want to see new units. I want to see old units removed. Like just something
Yeah.
fresh, but like the same, like the same game in
Same
terms
same
of
interface and everything, like same economy system, same everything.
yeah, sure, yeah, but like say speed, not having hero units. Like it's I want it to
Yeah.
feel like StarCraft, but to just like but for like the whole everything else to be just like blown up. Like I want new units, I want new
Yeah.
interactions, I want old units gone. I don't know. That's what I think would be really cool. I go back and forth between wanting that and wanting StarCraft 2 to just be continuously worked on.
Mm.
But like my dream is for like a lot of people to get really into it,
Mm.
And I don't know if it's a realistic dream. Um at this point we're just kind of like keeping it
Yeah, we're keeping
going.
it consistent because although it's very hard for people to sometimes get into StarCraft, I feel like it's very hard for people to get out of StarCraft in a
It's
way.
really hard for people to get out of StarCraft.
Yeah, because it's just such like StarCraft like imprints itself in your brain and just like the mechanics of it. It's like learning to ride a bicycle, kind of. It's just it always stays, even if you come back to it, which you probably will because there's no other game quite like StarCraft right now, especially. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
like that right
exactly.
now.
You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave StarCraft.
Yeah, no, it's just too. You just get too into it. It's too weird.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like you start to learn like how to cook really well, and then you just don't care about cooking, and you just like botch everything you do. It's like no, you can't just unlearn everything. You can't just like not like food anymore. But
Yeah. Yeah,
kind of weird.
right.
Uh,
That's so true.
what do you think it is about actually StarCraft? Well, I mean, for you, that makes you want to come back to it.
It's the Okay, so it's been such a long time since I've taken an extended break. Like this is really weird that
Mm-hmm.
like I haven't been playing much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like not really remembering what it is that would bring me back before. I think it was watching professional StarCraft.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally been like 3 years since I've taken an extended break. I want to say it's watching professional StarCraft that like has brought me back to it. But it's also just like the desire to succeed in like a 1v1 competitive environment and to like see if I can push myself to really like I like my goal. I guess I don't, like I said, I'm not playing a ton right now, but like my goal would be if I could hit like 5.5k MMR, that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's like where I'd feel like okay, I'm solidly in the 5ks, I'm not hovering on the edge, and I'm solidly grandmaster. Doesn't matter what server I'm on, like 5.5k you can get grandmaster on any server. That's where I'd feel like okay, like that would be a great place to achieve and be done
Yeah,
for me. But
it's 5.5k. I'm gonna say right now is feels high because it depends where you want to be as a player.
right,
5.5k when you look at it on in the grand scheme of things, that's actually kind of world class in a way because you're gonna be in the top 100 of your region, which
yeah,
NA is basically half of the planet for some fucking reason. Um, it's like Canada, United States, Mexico, Brazil, Australia,
yeah,
and then it's like okay. So yeah, it's like, are you comfortable with like, yeah, I invested so much time into this game where I can be pretty much kind of considered like best in the world. Like, I don't know if that's a best in the world is like a title that people casually kind of strive for.
right.
Did you ever
I
think of it
mean,
that way, or do you just see 5.5k as an MMR as like just a nice round number in the GMs?
it's yeah. I think it's more that the nice round number in the GMs because it's
Yeah,
like when you play StarCraft, you always feel like you're bad, and like
yeah,
it takes going to ranked for the win and seeing like what percentage of players you're in to realize that it's not that you're not bad or that you're good compared to everyone else. So like the highest I ever got was like 5.2k. I think it was in the top. It was like 0.8% of players in the
mm,
world, and that felt like that was like wow, that's actually pretty cool.
mm.
That's pretty good.
I don't. To be honest, we've always. told ourselves like we're bad until we're Maru level, but I feel like
Right.
that has to happen with every single discipline in the world. Like you're always every time you get better, you're all of a sudden going to be facing or learning things that are even harder to go to the next step. So you always feel like you're under where you need to be, and that's pretty much for. I can't even think of a single discipline where you can just go like, oh yeah, I'm the shit now. It's like I don't know.
So I
Yeah.
agree with you, except for this one thing that I think is really important, which differentiates StarCraft and I think like online games from most other things. Actually, just StarCraft specifically, is that in other things you are like constantly surrounded by people that are worse than you. So like if you play like when I played tennis and I played tournaments,
Mm-hmm.
like junior tournaments, right? It's geographically locked. So
Yeah, true.
I
Yeah.
could still feel good. Like I could still feel like, oh, I'm good in Georgia because like I'm playing against most for the most part like people in Georgia, right? And you can get to the point where you're the best in Georgia, so you're not like encountering people that are a lot better than you all the time. You might like win tournament after tournament after tournament, right? And like you know that there's stuff you need to improve on and you're going to higher level tournaments and so you're still getting beaten by players, but you're like, "Oh, I've like dominated this scene." But in StarCraft,
Yeah.
you're playing against the entire ranked ladder and you
Yeah.
are constantly getting beaten and constantly at like a
Getting
50%.
pushed. Yeah.
Right. And so I think when there's like the physical aspect of it where you're actually literally around people that are like worse than you is where you can feel more like confident in your abilities. But with StarCraft,
Constantly pushed. Yeah.
whenever you're playing, you're just constantly losing
Yeah.
and you're the only thing that's changing is this like MMR number, right? But it doesn't really make you feel. It might make you feel temporarily different. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I've reached my highest MMR. Great. I feel good about myself until I wake up the next morning, get back on, and start losing again. And then you're like, it's just the same thing. Losing in 3K is the same feeling as losing in 5K.
Yep.
It's in so I think that might make it a little bit different with StarCraft, but
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, being geographically locked is actually like a really good point because could you imagine if, you were playing tennis and how tennis worked in like, you know, 21, 22 or something like that, and 100 years in the future is that you're literally on your tennis field and then your next opponent from the ladder just spawns in front of you and then you start playing a
Yeah,
match.
right.
Like that would be the tennis ladder. Holy shit, would you get like you would be so constantly stressed. And then of course
Yeah.
right next to
Right.
the tennis field you have like your both of your MMRs and there's a number where you have to start freaking out of it going up and down just like MMR, and it's like god damn.
Yeah, it would suck. It would suck.
It would suck a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so true. So there's also just like this because you don't have like an MMR.
Mm.
You do have like a ranking, but you don't have an MMR that like tells you like this is your skill. Yeah,
Yeah.
you feel maybe confident going into matches against players that
Yeah.
you should be confident going into
I guess
matches
if I were to like rephrase my statement from earlier, if you're like if you're working on a discipline but you're like traveling at the same time, right? Like a traveling athlete or a traveling cook or a traveling whatever, then that might be more relevant because now you're actually experiencing the whole world. But if you're locked to a region, then yeah, you can definitely get on top and feel the best.
That's very fair. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Um, I think that's pretty much wraps it up. I think we've gone from the past, the present, into the future.
Yeah, we have. We covered a lot.
Man, that's crazy. Um, is there any? Actually, wait, hold on. There's one question I didn't ask yet. How'd you choose Zerg actually, of all the races?
Oh yeah, that's just kind of silly. I like when I first started playing in 2012 or whatever. Went onto the forums to say like which race should I choose. It is like the BattleNet forums,
Mhm.
right? The most like high IQ place on the internet, and people were like, some random guy just said like, oh well, Zerg is the hardest race of them all, so I wouldn't recommend it for beginners. And being a total, like I was pretty tough. I was
Yep.
like, oh well, I'm gonna choose Zerg then. If it's the hardest race, like
Yep.
that's what I'm gonna go for. So
Yep.
chose it and never turned back.
Oh, jeez, you never played anything else before. You just
No,
went
I
straight
didn't.
to Zerg from the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. And
It's
then like the
admirable.
one time that I played StarCraft was that like I'm sorry, I played Protoss. It was like the 2 weeks. I don't know if you remember that. I switched to Protoss for 2 weeks on stream.
Yes, that's.
That was like literally like my first time playing
I've
StarCraft.
I've never
And I
seen you
got
sadder. I don't know.
4.1K with Protoss. It was so stupid.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is that we just gain so much general knowledge of the game and just mechanics and stuff like that. We just improve anyway, right?
Yeah, 100%.
It's
But
like
yeah, I'm definitely don't don't
Yeah.
take that as Protoss easy, even though
Yeah.
Protoss easy. But, you know.
Yeah. It's weird. I do agree that like I think Protoss is the easiest, most straightforward race to play, but also it's the most capped level wise. That's why it's like they don't
Yeah,
win.
100%.
That's why they don't win tournaments. But
Yep.
that's the drawback from them being so strong and so straightforward and easy. And then
Yeah.
you've got Zerg, which I do believe still is the hardest race. However, you when you kind of like master it, it doesn't seem like the game, like the way the game works makes it so that you can beat Zerg because they can actually just do so much shit. But it requires
Yeah.
there's so many tasks that Zerg needs to do.
Yeah.
That if you can manage to do them, then you can probably kill everyone. But
I agree.
and
I
then
agree. I think
Terran
Terran is maybe the
Terran
same in that.
Terran is just very heavy on knowledge as to like what your units cannot do, how to work around all of your production, because a huge part of the game is like working around your add-ons, your production, your upgrades, like where you spend stuff. Whereas with Protoss, it's like, well, you put a gateway down and then you have access to 6 different units in one shot that you can just
Yeah.
have whenever you want. With Zerg, it's like you
Right.
put the tech building and you just make it from the larva. With Terran, it's like, well, fuck, you gotta queue them. You have like 3 different types of production buildings. You have like they all have different costs. You need to put different add-ons on them. You have to have a certain number per base depending on your economy, and it's like there's a lot of, and it's also like how to use those units as well is sometimes very very difficult. But I mean that's for a lot of races too. But I feel like Terran is more knowledge heavy on just how your own race works. Zerg is very very task heavy, and then Protoss is it's like very easy to learn, very difficult to make it the best or strongest, whatever. I don't know how to make that sentence. Fuck it. I just gave up midway on that sentence. I don't know. But yeah.
No, I'm totally with you though.
Yeah.
Totally with you.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, it's very admirable when people choose something and then never look back. It's pretty bold. It's pretty bold.
Yeah. But then like Zerg easy meme, so then it's shameful now.
Pepe laughed.
In the last 2 years, so shameful.
It's funny because Reddit is so shitting on Zerg, especially in the past 2 years, because Zerg has just been dominating tournaments. I think they said like the last non-GSL tournament that has been won by a race other than Zerg has been since 2018 or something like that, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, that's
when you think about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember.
Yeah, but now people are just shitting on Zerg, but it's like sometimes I watch Terrans and they're like they're clearly making a lot of mistakes versus Zerg. There's clearly like room for improvement. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you watch. I mean, Cyril is just he and Raynor are just like amazing. They're just incredible. Like they're micro. We could. This is like another whole other conversation, but their level of play is actually just amazing.
100%. Well, I mean that they can do so many of these attacks and so accurately too that it just kind of
right.
They just get everything that needs to be done. That's basically what you can sum it up to, kind of.
Like 550 average MMR is not like, and like having 5 army hotkeys is not like easy race. That's like they're actually just really freaking good.
Yeah. 550 APM, not MMR. That's.
I'm sorry. 550.
That's a very low amount of MMR, my guy.
That's
true. Yeah. We're talking about like how we go on and off. I feel like now, I don't know if this happens to you too, but like before when I used to not play StarCraft, it kind of felt weird, like a little bit empty for some reason. But now if I do take breaks, like you kind of did for like the past 2 months, I don't feel as bad. And to be honest, I'm not sure if that has anything to do with the fact that there's like Sour Raynor becoming really good, Janton getting really fucking good, Endless like reaching Masters 2. I feel like every single young person that I've known like becoming good at StarCraft makes me like less empty not playing, because I know there's new people. I feel like it comes from there a little bit.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're letting the scene down.
Yeah,
because it feels like there are people coming up behind you that are taking up the torch.
Kinda, yeah. I kind of feel like that way. I feel like a 30-year-old saying that, but before it was just like when I was a teen, it's like I'm not playing. It's like, dude, I could be getting better. What's going on? It's like I gotta catch up. But it's like, well, now that I'm slowly approaching my mid-20s, and it's like I see all these people that are young getting Masters 2 and Masters 1. I feel like if I'm not playing, it doesn't matter. There's other people actually coming in. So
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool, Necro.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Any closing thoughts on
Uh,
your journey with StarCraft? What does StarCraft mean to you? Or if
I don't
that's a
know.
too deep of a philosophical question.
Yeah, no, it's hard. I love it. I love, I love the game, but I love the community. Like the Glazer stream community was just, it was amazing,
Mm-hmm.
and that was, and it still is. I don't stream near as much, which is sad, but um, like the number of people who were connected through my stream and all of that, I think is, that's like my, that's what I love about StarCraft, and that's,
Mm-hmm.
I think, like the legacy of the Glazer stream too. It's not, the legacy is not the best observing, nor is it the best gameplay, but it's the people uh,
Dude,
who made it
I'm
happen and made it
sorry.
great.
I'm like laughing right now because like I just imagine the poster of Legacy of the Void, but it's Legacy of the Glaze, and it's just you replace all the Protoss heads with like you and Broodfrock and Janton, and it's like I don't know. I just thought of that. Legacy of the Glaze 2020. Jesus, you gotta Photoshop that shit immediately. Oh my god. Well, thank you so much, Glazerbeam, for coming on, sharing your journey with us, and hopefully I will see you again on a future stream. That's it. That's what's cool is that like we can't see each other in person, but whenever you stream, we can just hop on and say hi. So
Yeah, it's great.
yeah.
It's great. Thank you for having me on, Necro. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all of the hours that you spent observing for me in my stream. I really
Oh hell
appreciate
yeah,
that.
dude. I mean, there's nothing better than like good observing while you talk about your lunch. And it's like that's just it feels like a tasteless Artosis thing where they just during GSL there's like a pro game very nicely observed and then they talk about some random shit. It just
That's
feels
so
like that,
true.
you know.
Oh
Yeah.
man, spot on.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you very much and have a good rest of your day.
All right, you as well, Necro. See ya.
All right, see you, dude.